Hi guys, how you doing, man? My name is Malagant and we are going to be talking about the Cyclone builds that I have been playing on Path of Exile Legacy League. I have played a Juggernaut, a Berserker, and lastly, that is level 91, and most of the highlighted clips are going to be on this video is the Raider. I should say that with the Berserker I couldn't really get to try a lot because I kind of died miserably in Uber lab traps while trying to get my last 7th and 8th ascendancy points. That was miserable. I think I spaced out big time, so I'm not even going to share the clip of that, but there'll most likely be a link down below if you would like to check that one. I'll share how I died with the Juggernaut as well. Basically, I died to the, well, the hardest enemy of this build, to be honest with you, which is Elemental Reflect, but to be honest with you, I mean, to be fair, I had enough time to react. I pretty much didn't react in time, and I killed myself in a second or two. We'll watch that one in the upcoming seconds soon. Thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you like Cyclone because, well, I also hope that you like life builds over energy builds. Let's just jump into it. Now, the first things first, why energy? I mean, why life over energy, which is quite the meta for 2.6. I mean, the thing that stood out for me is that I wasn't that experienced with Path of Exile when I started this league. It's my first time ever going this hard on Path of Exile. I'm quite experienced when it comes to like hardcore playthrough ARPGs that are balanced all around, and Path of Exile is the, I mean, you could at least say that it's balanced around it. To be honest with you, it's much more. It has been a blast for me. But yeah, that's a little bit off topic. So basically, I kind of think it was because of the build up. Life build was a lot easier to get to higher levels than the energy one. So I tried a little bit of energy, and I had the misconception of, you know, building up the energy spec and then gearing around it while leveling. That didn't really work out because it was much harder to play than the life build up. So basically I died on those characters, and then I learned for a fact that basically if you wanted to play, you know, let's say CI, basically you don't really build around it at the start. You just go with like hybrid or only life and then respec once it's ready to go. So that was the biggest mistake. But in short, I could say that the reasoning was because it's an easier build up.
Exile?
Yeah. He was an exile. Used to be. Only the hardest survive, man. I'm dead. I wasn't hard enough, I guess. Well, as you saw in that clip, I died with my Juggernaut at level 93, I believe, and it was almost 94 actually. And to be honest with you, it's entirely my bad. I wasn't really paying attention. I was pretty much spaced out again, and that's the way that you die, anyways, if you're still ready for the content that you're doing. That's one thing when it comes to hardcore content. As long as you know what is coming at you, you should be able to survive it because you know what is coming, right? And at that point I wasn't really ready for a reflect. That's pretty much it. So on the new character that I've been playing, I did some changes, and with the Raider it's a little easier to survive the elemental reflect because you're taking 10% less damage from it, and at the same time I managed to get to a point where I can actually use a ruby flask. Not only that, but also I changed to Avatar of Fire, so every single damage that we deal is in fact fire damage. So therefore, if you have the maximum fire resistance, you know, bumped up to about like 81%, if I'm not mistaken, that's what I have. Basically, you're taking much less damage from reflection itself. So basically you can pretty much, especially with Val Pact, you can pretty much man up versus the Elemental Reflect, and that's what I'm trying to do. There's one more thing that I should add about Elemental Reflect before I switch this is the fact that versus Elemental Reflect, you should remember that the Cyclone is not the thing that is damaging you. Your life leech is far more stronger than the Cyclone damage that you're dealing. It's the Molten Burst, the meteors that are going to be hitting you extremely hard. So if the enemy manages to survive for the Molten Burst to hit him, the reflect is going to be extremely big, and at that point you have two options: either to just, you know, sack the monster, just never mind that, run away, or, you know, use some flasks immediately. Well, preferably something that instantly heals you, so that before the next meteors, you know, you will be full HP once again. So that is the way that you deal with the Elemental Reflect most of the time. And to be honest with you, I found Elemental Reflect is to be the hardest, as I said, against this Elemental Cyclone, let's call it. Let's talk about a little bit of like Juggernaut versus the Raider. Like the Juggernaut was extremely easier to build up, you know, like it was a lot easier to have the itemization. It was a lot easier to get to level 80, you know, safely, let's say, because of the fact that if you think about like how the Marauder starts, it's much more newbie friendly, if you will, if you would like to call it that. Basically because there's damage nodes, there's really bulk of HP nodes, and then there's even a lot of resistances just piled up in a few levels. You know, if you're like level 15 to maybe even 20, you have incredible amounts of defensive and offensive passive nodes coming from the passive tree around the Marauder. So therefore it is really, you know, newbie friendly, and it's really, you know, from the get-go it doesn't really depend on the items. You can just like pretty much smash everything. The other characters, I found them to be needing a little bit more experience and, you know, a little bit more optimization when it comes to like itemization and all. So that is one difference between the Juggernaut and the Raider, for sure. So Juggernaut has an easier build up to the later levels of the game, for sure, especially for hardcore. So if you're playing on softcore, I would say just play whatever you would like. There's another thing about Juggernaut is the fact that it cannot be slowed down further than the base movement speed. That is really huge, because movement speed is pretty much everything when it comes to this character, to be honest with you, the Cyclone. But that being said though, Raider is moving a lot faster than Juggernaut does. It's incredibly fast. The movement speed is just extremely fun to play. To be honest with you, which one was more fun to play? Definitely Raider. So therefore I'm glad that I ended up creating this as third character and still alive. Would have been really sad if I lost this one, to be honest with you. I was kind of sad when I lost the Juggernaut as well, but it's off topic again. So that being said though, about the build, well, you could definitely check the link below to see the passive tree and how it looks like. And I'm open for criticism, and at the same time, if you'd like to add something on top of it, feel free to do so. And while going towards, you know, you start from the ranger side, while going towards the left side, you know, towards the Marauder side, you're kind of prioritizing defenses, a lot of HP nodes, and you're prioritizing a little bit, just a little bit of damage. And when you are getting like the 6th, I think, if I'm not mistaken, ascendancy point, that's when you want the frenzy charges as well. So like, don't sink into everything that you see at the start, you know. Try to at least get the duelist part of the tree as soon as possible while you're leveling, because it's gonna make things a lot easier for yourself because of the movement speed, you know, extra armor and stuff like that. While leveling up and reaching level about like level 70, you know, getting to maps, it makes it a lot easier when it comes to the build, at least. And I would say that I have been theory crafting about the build when it comes to the HP build of the Raider Cyclone, and I think this build that I'm sharing down below is pretty much as good as it can get. That's what I honestly believe, because I'm also streaming this game, and people that are coming has been criticizing the build itself and, you know, giving opinions as well. So this is where we have gone so far. So but as I said, if you would like to change something, just feel free to do so on your character and let me know how it ended up for you too. Lastly, I think I'm going to be talking about the well, the itemization about the character. You can definitely reach my profile and check the character out. Well, you can check both the Juggernaut and this one. The most expensive piece that I'm wearing was, I think, about like maybe 150 cows or something like that, the necklace. Zoff Blood Ember. And that amulet is definitely not mandatory for this character to work. So I started with this character from scratch, and I did farm it with this character as well. It is definitely a huge DPS boost, and at the same time it's giving you extra fire resistance as well. How it does is basically you are supposed to be running Hatred and Herald of Ash when you don't have the Zoff Blood amulets. Once you have the Zoff Blood, since you have Avatar of Flame from that moment, Hatred is only giving you 50% of the damage that it should have given, so you can definitely ditch it. And I decided to run Purity of Fire, if I'm not mistaken, So that is giving me much more survivability, since I am dealing flame damage, fire damage. The reflection is going to be much less on me all the time. That being said though, a lot of people are running Blasphemy with flammability, and if you are going to be going that route, I'll definitely advise you to pick quality gems on both ends. They're extremely valuable once their quality, the Blasphemy and the the flammability. This was quite scary actually, two of them at the same time. I remember this one. Wanted to kill them one by one. Anyways, like, other than the amulets, the character is actually, I don't know, like, if you can call it budget or not, to be honest with you. Like, what is budget? Is budget like 10 cows? Is it 50 cows? I'll say for about like 50 cows, you can definitely make this character extremely strong. And to be honest with you, the other expensive parts of the character, which is unfortunately this time it's mandatory, is the axe itself, the Engamal Flame. So this weapon is your bread and butter pretty much because of the Molten Burst skill on it, and that's how you basically end up scaling your fire damage with the weapon. And then on top of that, your AoE just gets that much better. And it is kind of budget because you don't necessarily need to, you know, link your weapon anymore, because you just need the slots on it. So you kind of want 6 slots, and you can see the gems on the profile link below. And those gems are going to be working towards, you know, the Molten Burst itself on the weapon, as long as you put it inside them. So that being said though, because of this weapon, you cannot really use something like Calm's Heart, if I'm not mistaken, for the chest, because you want something socketed. I was thinking about, you know, socketing my Cyclone, you know, 4-link, and then just playing with Calm's Heart, but to be honest with you, like 4-link, I couldn't really end up having a good DPS at all. It was really sucky. I wanted to try to make it with 6-link, but I failed a bit, and I don't really have the currency to continue rolling, so I just stopped for now. But I'm using a Belly of the Beast that is 5-linked right now, and you can check the gems again from the profile on the link down below too. So about the itemization back again, I can definitely call it budget, maybe except the weapon. As I said, the weapon that I purchased for about like 20 kills or something. If you paid attention, we just killed their elemental reflect. He just like disappeared, and this is a tier 12. To be honest with you, with the gear that I have, I think it's around tier 14 that they're extremely deadly. But you can still man up versus them, and as long as like you're pressing those buttons, you're alive. But if you space out and you cyclone into them without pressing any button, any flasks, I'm quite sure you're gonna die. Now, I think that's pretty much it about this build. I'll most likely add if there's anything that I forgot about this, and feel free to ask any questions on down below as well. Same goes for suggestions. Honestly, I'm all for suggestions, to be honest with you. If you're going to be improving the build that I ended up doing, feel free to do so, please. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Malagant signing out. I'll catch you next time.